Is the day 2 prep for ADB, and you were given some slides to go ahead and go through. I'm going to go through these in the video. What we need to do is configure the VirtualBox for port forwarding so it's accessible from outside the VirtualBox. We're going to configure the shared directory. We're going to actually install LAMP and make sure that's running. We need to configure MySQL. And then we already have Mongo installed. We need to install the MongoDB driver so PHP can talk to it. So, first you need to do is, let's see, if you're running a VirtualBox, you need to go ahead and shut it down. So, proper way to shut it down is to click over here and hit shutdown and do the shutdown button. Now, we need to go ahead and select the box we're on and go to settings. You're going to go to networking, go to advanced under your networking tab and go to port forwarding. And we need to go ahead and enter in the 3 ports we're going to forward: 3306, 8000, and 27018. And if you just look at the next slide, it needs to look like this. So let's hit add port 8000 goes to port 80. And what this means is if we go to port 8000 on our Mac, it's going to go to port 80 on our VirtualBox. Second rule is 27018 is 27017. And the final one, 3306, is going to go to 3306. So we get a pass through on that. Okay, once you're done, go ahead and just hit OK. And the settings are saved, and you should be good for the port forwarding. Next thing we're going to do is set up a VB share directory. And what this means is we're going to have a folder on our Mac that's going to match a folder on our VirtualBox. So on our Mac, inside that ADB directory, I'm going to go ahead and create a new folder here and just call it VB share. Then whatever I put in this folder will also be accessible by the VirtualBox. So next thing, go to VirtualBox. We need to go back to our settings over here. We need to go over to the shared folder. And we need to add a shared folder. As for the path, let's select other. And again, this is the path that's actually on our Mac. So if I go to desktop or wherever you have it, ADB, I want to go to that VB share directory. I'm going to hit choose. I don't want it read-only. I do want it read-writable. But I do want every time we start up the VirtualBox for it to be accessible. So let's click on Auto Mount and then hit OK. All right. Let's hit all right. It saves all the settings. Let's start the instance. Now we are going to have to install guest additions. So that way this will work, and then we need to reboot the VirtualBox. So once this comes up and running, takes just a moment, go over here, go to Devices, and go to Insert Guest Addition CD. Okay, once that's done, yep, here's the message. Go ahead and just hit Run. Let's see here. It needs the password. Password will be ADB. And this is where it's going to install the guest edition. So let's just hit yes here. Let's see here. Actually, sorry, it is already installed. Let's hit yes anyway. And I'm going to go ahead and install the new one anyway. And this will take just a few moments. Once it's done, we're going to have to do an add user to that SF, the VBBox SF, and then we just need to reboot Ubuntu, and then we'll be able to share and play with those shared directories. Okay, and it's done. You just hit enter, it closes that window. Let's open up one more terminal window that works successfully. And let's do the sudo add user ADB admin, and it's vbox sf. Enter in whatever password you have. Well, we have the same one. It is ADB. And we're done. So now we just need to reboot. So you can either go over here and hit shutdown and hit the reboot button, or you can type sudo reboot, and that will also reboot the virtual server. But now what's happened is we have this in the media folder, SF VB share folder maps to the Mac VB share folder. Here's what I mean. Let's take a look here. I'm going to open up the Finder over here, and I'll go to the computer, and I'm going to go look in that media folder. And here's that folder, SFVB share. And if I take a look in here, it's empty, just like it's empty here. But if I go ahead and let's go, I'm going to grab text edit. I'm just going to say hello. This is just a test. And I say let's save it to my desktop, that VB share, and I'm just going to call it hello.text. Now that it appears right over here, it should also appear here as well. It just needed a refresh. So anything I put in this directory, the VB share directory, will end up in this SF VB share directory, and vice versa. It's just a good way to transfer files from one server, to your virtual box and back and forth. Okay, next one is we need to go ahead and install LAMP, and we're going to go ahead and test it. So let's open up terminal here, and I'm going to maximize that. I'm going to copy exactly these lines we have here. So we're going to do a sudo apt-get, and let's just do an update. And your password will be ADB. And really, apt-get is just a package manager. The update just goes out and updates its list of packages. So if new software came out or new versions of software came out since the last time it was run, it'll go ahead and update that directory. So next thing we do is sudo apt-get install, and we're going to run lamp-server and a caret at the end. You do need this caret. The caret is your shift and your 6. That looks good. Let's hit enter. Yes. And like I said, this is going to install Apache, MySQL, and PHP all in one command here. Okay, we do need a password for the MySQL root user. I'll go with ADB. Let's just keep the passwords the same, ADB. So this will take just a few minutes, but there you can see we got Apache, we got PHP, and we're done. The installation is done. Okay, so here's what I want to go ahead and do. I'm just going to sudo again and go into service and say let's restart Apache 2. Actually, it's the other way around. It's Apache 2 restart. And this just kind of confirms that Apache is, again, up and running. Okay, let's confirm it is up and running. I'm going to cd to the /var/www/html directory. And there's an index.html. What that means is if I go ahead and, let's go back. take my browser and I go to localhost 8000. Try that again. http://localhost 8123. This is now reading from the Apache server. This proves that it was installed, but let's go one step further. I'm going to go ahead and in here we're going to have to create a new file. So I'm going to say sudo nano is our editor, and call php info.php. And we're just going to create it with one line. We're going to say start PHP, call a function called php info, and let's end that. And let's get out of here. Let's exit. Should we save the buffer? The answer is yes. I'm going to call it php info. And now if we do an ls-l, you'll see there is php info. There's the file. So now all I'm going to do is at the end of this add php info.php. And here is the PHP settings. So we have the version. If you look through here, it says all of that. I'm going to do a find for MySQL. And you can see there's additional MySQL support. So the installation did go correctly. So currently MAMP is installed, and at this point we are done with that. Next step, we really need to configure MySQL. So here's what I need you to do. Let's follow the instructions here. We're going to sudo nano, and it's /etc or etc /mysql /my.cnf. Now this is the configuration file for MySQL. And I'm going to scroll down, and what I'm looking for right now is this bind address. By default, it says 127.0.0.1. What that means is, unless you're on the virtual box, it won't accept any other connections. So what I need you to do is change this to be all zeros here, and now it'll accept connections from anyone. So later on we'll be opening up SQL Pro and connecting to it. We need to go ahead and set that address. So once you're done with that, let's exit. Let's save. Okay. And now we need to restart MySQL. And I'm going to say sudo service MySQL restart. And here's something we really haven't come across with. The root user, so we have a root user in MySQL. That is only accessible locally. So when we had MAMP, we were using everything locally. It was fine. If you want to connect remotely, or even anywhere outside your virtual box, which means even from the Mac, we need to have a user other than SQL. So I'm going to go ahead, let's create a user and call it ADB admin. So first we're going to access MySQL command line. So do MySQL -- user equals root -- password equals ADB. And you see here we are at the MySQL prompt. This is essentially a session, same as when we opened it up with SQL Pro. So the next thing I'm going to do is say, let's create a user, single quote, ADB admin, and the single quote, at another single quote, %, single quote, identified by, and this is the password, ADB. Semicolon at the end, and I typoed. It's create user, not users. There we go. So next thing I need to do is give them permission. So I'll say let's grant all on *** to single quote ADB admin, and the single quote at single quote %, single quote. Okay, next thing we do is need to get out of here, just type exit. Once you're done with that, we have the user created. We're fine with configuring SQL. So if you completed that, you're fine. The very last thing I want you to do is to go ahead and run these commands here. So again, it could be from anywhere. Let's sudo apt apt-get install php 5-dev php 5-cli and php-pair. Say yes. Let that run. Next thing we're going to use is for this to install this driver for some reason. Echo. So once it's done like that, we're going to sudo pecl install Mungo. And this is installing Mungo. We already installed that. We're installing the Mungo driver. Do we want to go ahead and have enterprise support? No. So just hit enter. Okay. We're almost done. Last thing we need to do is we need to cd to that etc php5 apache 2 directory, and we need to sudo nano the php.ini file. This is a configuration file for PHP. Now, I'm going to scroll down a bit. What we're looking for, and it really doesn't matter where you add it, I just like to keep things together, is a list of extensions. I like to keep all these extensions together. If we were to put it someplace else, it's not really a big deal. PHP would still recognize it. Let's put it out a little further. As you can see, they give a very large configuration file for PHP. There we go. What I'm going to do is right over here, after this whole extension section, if I scroll up a bit, you'll see this where it says dynamic extension. Down here at the bottom, I'm just going to add a line in here. I need to say extension equals mungo.so. And then I need to just exit out and save this. Yes. Okay, here's what we're going to do. I know it says reboot Ubuntu, but there's a shortcut. We can just say sudo service apache 2 restart. Now before I hit enter here, I want to show you something. Over in this file we have for the PHP info, if I do a find here and I do a find from Mungo, I don't see anything. I want to go ahead and restart it. Again, this is after we've installed the Mungo drivers. It restarted. I'm going to reload this page. And now if I do a find on Mungo, you see here it says Mungo is there, or at least it should say, and it gives us some information. So this means the driver was installed correctly. So once you go ahead and have Mungo in your window here, you are done and you're ready to continue on to day 2, which I will see you later on today or tomorrow. Thank you.